Thank you for joining us for this week's webinar. We're going to be talking about strengths, and everyone has strengths that really tie into the goals that you set, the feedback that you give, really kind of circling back with celebrations. You have achieved so much this year, and to stay true to what it is that you are doing, not only as a teacher, but supporting your classroom. We're very excited to present to you looking at the end of year strengths, and thank you for joining us at Thrively.
Well, Jacqueline, we are here again. So excited to be discussing our favorite topic, I know, strengths. And I'm Jeanette Simonson with Thrively. So excited for some of you coming in and maybe having this conversation for the first time. Maybe thinking about how do I use strengths in the classroom? But most importantly, because we're heading into Teacher Appreciation Week, we want our participants to really think about their year. We're coming to the end of the year. Some of you guys, I've heard there's an app now, right? About how many days are left in the school year. Celebrate all that you guys have been through, all that we've been through together. If you're a current Thrively user and we've had conversations with you, I see a lot of familiar faces in the room here. So nice to see you all here. I have my colleague, and I'm going to let her introduce herself with us today. Jacqueline, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jacqueline Vasco. I am a previous classroom educator, school leader. I've been a part of the Thrively team now, really focusing in on how do we really bring strengths to life in the classroom, and what does it feel like to have a strengths-centered community at your fingertips. And I'm really excited to be here with you all to talk about how to end this year strong, and happy almost Teacher Appreciation Week. It should be every week, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I put in there, where are you from? And I intentionally put in, who do you teach? Not what do you teach? I saw a post on LinkedIn this morning that said, just that. You might teach math, you might teach history, you might teach a lot of different things, but it's who we teach that matters today. And we're going to be talking a lot about ending the year strong, focusing on the strengths, the feedback, and the goals, and how all of these things can really make sure that the end of the school year finishes very strong for all of you. So go ahead and tell us where you're from. I'm also going to quickly, I want to celebrate you. So let's go ahead and launch a year-end reflection for everybody. If you could just type in, what are you the most proud of this year? And maybe we can get a couple of people to share. I'll show what you've said. So we've got great, somebody from Northern California and Columbia, Maryland. Awesome, teaching in Annapolis. Yeah, I would say I'm the most proud of really listening to all of you out there and absorbing what's going on in classrooms, absorbing what it is that we are, ed tech programs should be addressing the needs, the challenges, the problems of practice that are out there. And so my team here, I give us full credit for just listening and being partners in this journey with all of you. And I stay up nights thinking about how do I address some of the problems that come up, and we've addressed a lot of them and we've conquered some of them. So thank you for those of you that are sharing. We've got Sherman County, Oregon, welcome. California, we've got some high schoolers from California that are being taught. Minnesota, I teach 6th through 8. Emily's here. Lincoln, California, mostly 3rd through 12th grade students. Awesome. All right. So we've got about, we'll give it another 17 seconds or so for you guys to type in what you're the most proud of. And as you're doing that, I just want to give you guys a little focus too. We're going to be kind of unlocking the power of looking back, but also looking back to celebrate, looking back and saying, what have we accomplished? What have we gone through? We know the power of being grateful. And so be grateful of the jobs we have and the impact that we do have on our students. Sometimes we don't see that for a couple of years down the road, right? But how can we engage with student strengths still with 19 days left or whatever you have left? Taking time to reflect and give feedback with those students that you're serving. And maybe you're an administrator with the staff that you are working with. And then, of course, how do we invite parents to the conversation? I love it. I'm proud of some individual relationships that have grown this year. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, I'm going to end this poll, and we'll get some really nice answers in here. But it's just kind of, whoops. All right, just jumped off of the screen. So let me go back here. Today's focus. Okay. I'm going to just quickly share some results here. Let's see if it shows. Oh, it didn't. Okay, something's not popping up. So let me fix that in a second. But anyway, so as we're looking at today's focus, Jacqueline is going to take us into an amazing activity. This is hands-on, ladies and gentlemen. So get ready. But again, you all have been through this process. You've set a goal, you've made a plan. Maybe the plan has been given to you, but you got to work at it and you worked really hard with intention. You did reach goals this year. And whether they were personal or professional, your students felt it. And so again, I want to celebrate the successes that all of you guys have been through and give you some resources for the next couple of days or weeks as you're in school to help you. So we're going to activate you all in a strength activity. So I'm going to hand it over to Jacqueline.
Thank you. Yeah, speaking of celebrations, I think one of my biggest celebrations this year has been really the development and the implementation that I've gotten to do with creating these strengths activities for teachers and students, and being able to actually go into schools and work with students K through 8th grade to be able to implement these lessons and then get their feedback on what worked best, where did they feel most seen, and what was the kind of rock tumbling that took place during their thought processes to get them to being able to have a meaningful depth of knowledge on what it means to be strong in something. So these strengths activities are part of our Thrively Strengths Vocabulary unit that we do offer and is supported on our site for ages K through 12th graders, and they're all developmentally appropriate depending on which grade span you fall within. These top 3 here you may have seen in the latest blog post that we sent out to you in the latest newsletter. These 3 are done in succession, either in a short 15-minute period each over the course of 3 weeks, or you could do them in a clumped hour if you had that freedom of time in the next few weeks. But these 3 lessons are Spend a Coin, My Champion Strength, and My Strength Badge. Now, what you're going to notice here is in that blog post, you're seeing a little tiny description of each activity. Starting with Spend a Coin, this activity where we have students think about either pre-strengths assessment or post-strengths assessment on Thrively. What are their top 3 strengths that they most identify with themselves? And you can see that there's this poster here that we created that says, what's strong with us? So as a collective community, each student got 3 little blue stickers, and they were to self-identify by putting a sticker on top of one of those strengths. So you can notice that this would lead to some conversations for students like, what is the most strong with us? Where are we really flexing that muscle of strength? And then also what comes up really naturally, which we love, is where are opportunities to really learn and lean into others who are identifying as, patient, because patience was one of those lower identified features. And what does that mean for us? Everybody in the room matters. And you can kind of see where we really need to turn and lean into somebody else's strengths and really ask for that help, because it's okay. The other great part of this conversation in Spend a Coin is really thinking about the what it means when we all come together to achieve a goal. So when we're grouping kids, can we group kids dynamically this way? When we're grouping kids, do we want to start grouping kids in like spaces? And so giving kids kind of that autonomy to really look at the room and say, what are we going to do today? The next activity is called My Champion Strength. And this one I really love to talk about because it brings up the best conversations from kids who are in 2nd grade all the way to educators when we've done this in professional developments. This is kind of like where you're using a basketball bracket. We just got out of March Madness not too long ago, right? Or some of us who are fans of The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, you do your brackets, right? So you set up your team and you pick your final winner. And so with My Champion Strength, you take those top strengths that you've already identified and Spend a Coin, and then you add them to a bracket challenge. And you put them against each other, and you would talk yourself through which strength for me matters most right now. And why is that? So you kind of have to rationalize which one matters to me. And the cool part about that too is that you get to have this moment where we recognize as a group in a conversation that every strength matters. There's not one that is better to have than the other. They all matter, but depending on your experience and what you have done in your life to grow or to focus on has really leaned you into this area where your champion strength shines, and it's amazing why it shines. So this is a really cool activity. We actually had one teacher who in this activity, he was like, I went to college to be an athlete. I had a professional athletic career for a few years in football, but after doing this exercise, I'm so glad that I really understand that I'm not just an athlete. Athleticism is part of me, but my drive and my resilience matter more to me. But when people look at me, they automatically assume athletic would be my top. So it's really cool to see like the way that we're kind of using the language to really shape and mold and share across each other, you know, what it means to be me and what it means for me to be strong in what I'm strong in. The last one is my strength badge. So creating an opportunity for kids to then get to this point of your champion strength that came out of that bracket, your top winner. Let's be proud about it and let's be loud about it. So students create this badge, which is a little tiny representation of their strength with the strength vocabulary word in their name. And they can walk around with this. This can sit on their desk, but it's like, you know me for my name and my strength and my smile. That's what I would always say. So these are top 3 exercises and lessons that are paired in a hybrid situation on Thrively, where you have an anchor of the Thrively lesson behind you projected for the whole class, and you facilitate as a teacher these lessons to really get kids engaging with each other and their thought processes around what's strong with them. And we're going to do a really quick exercise from my champion strength together. So Jeanette, if you could go to the next page. And this is where we get interactive, everybody. So if you're driving, don't worry about it. Think about it in your head. But if you're not driving, we're going to give you an opportunity to grab maybe a pencil and a paper or your notebook that's close by, or even just like a little Post-it note. And here's our champion strength bracket. So how I prepare kids when they don't have the printout, which the printout is included, but you can just write numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 down the side of your paper. And you can do a little line to symbolize where you're going to record your strength. Now, you can do this with your strengths assessment, the top 5 that you get. Choose 4, put 1 strength on the first line and a second strength on number 2, 3, and 4. And Jeanette, if you hit that little ding, 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 yeah.
This one?
Sure. So if you don't know, remember all the strengths, we're going to show you all of the strengths here so that you can get a quick pick of your top 4. And you're going to add 1 strength to each line. So if you feel like you have the strength of being focused, add that to line 1. If you are feeling as though you're a very social human and that supports you in having impact, choose that social and add that to your second line. And pause when you get down to line 4, when you're down here. Jeanette, what ones are you picking?
Oh, I am picking, and again, I relate to that athleticism one, but the worldly and creative thinking I like to lead with.
Wonderful. So you're going to have your top 4 written down there. And then if you go back to the slide, Jeanette, in just maybe like 15 more seconds, I'm going to walk you through a thought process. There we go. And if you click the next key, because there's a little animation.
You got it.
Just
this
one. No.
The other one?
Just click on the screen because the words are going to populate. So 2 of my strengths that I've recognized and feel have impact in my life are my creative thinking strength and my resilience. So when I look at these 2, I need to think for myself, which one of these is more impactful for me currently in my life right now? I know I have all 23 strengths inside me at different ranges and in different capacities, but these 2 together for me are the 2 that I want to think about. So creative thinking, I go back to the definition, I think of novel ideas.
I'm going to
Resilience.
pause for just a second. Sorry, there's someone who
Sure.
can't see, and I want to see if I refresh it, if that'll
Good
get
idea.
you to where you need to be.
Thanks, Leah, for sharing.
Yeah. So Leah, tell me if you can see it now. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Thank you.
No problem. So creative thinking, I love to create novel solutions to problems. I love being in that phase of how do we create a cool solution that's really going to solve this problem. Resilience is something where you don't give up. You're always going through something with optimism. And for me, I think I love being creative, but I can only be as like at my max creativity self if I have the resilience to push me through. I could be creative and I can do things here and there, but when I really get excited is when I push through my creative thinking. So resilience is actually going to go into that next level, that second bracket round. So if you hit 2 more times, Jeanette, you'll see it go there. So you'll see there. So that's how I want you to think through your thought process. The next battle I'm going to go through is leadership versus focus. For me, I need to think through my leadership skills and what it means for me to be a leader, and also think about my focus and how those two work either with or for or against each other. And then I move my winner over to that next round. So go ahead and take some time to finish filling in your bracket, and maybe you'll then be able to do your final round, which is resilience versus focus would be for me. So take about a minute to think through that. And then I'm going to write a prompt in the chat once we are given a little bit of time so that you have the time to think through that.
What I love most about this, Jacqueline, is the fact that students have to think about the vocabulary. They have to think about the definition, as we've shown here. And then this could change. I think this is fantastic, again, to do throughout the year, but to think about how I've changed over time. I needed resilience during a certain time, but maybe creative thinking during a different time. So really wonderful activity. Today, here's mine, everybody.
Today, look at
Today, I've got the verbal creative thinking.
that.
And I think maybe the verbal might win today, right now, during this, during this activity.
That's pretty great. So I think for what we get to, and to give you an example in the classroom, I had a student who I just did this exercise with, a group of second graders. I paired them up so they could have a shoulder partner to kind of talk through situations with. And this little boy said, you know what? I have drive, because when I have drive, I finish the things that I set my mind to, and I set goals. But I'm athletic, and my interest, which is like, we didn't even prompt him with that word, but my interests are football. And I'm so excited to play football that I set my goals in football because I just don't want to stop playing. So I think athleticism wins that battle. So it was really cool to hear that conversation going on where the student is really reflecting internally on what makes them great and where is it. No, and neither of them is a lesser than strength. They're both really beneficial, but for them, where is their shine really going to be the brightest?
Excellent.
All right, I'm going to add in the chat if you're willing to share what was your most difficult pairing, or what was your most champion strength, then share it proudly.
Yes, we want to see all those strengths, all of your strengths out there. Tell us where you're focused on the most. And you may not have taken the strength assessment. So you see some of the words here. Again, I'll go back to this one pager where you can see academic, analytical, appreciation, assertiveness. We've found, weirdly enough, flexibility seems to be one of the top strengths of students when I look at the data from our schools, right? Probably you guys have that too, but focus, drive, fun loving. Hope you get a chance to do some of these things this summer, which is, really the fun loving, independent, creative skill piece of it. Again, we use these at different times in our lives. So thank you for that activity. This is a simple activity you can do tomorrow and take it with you. We'll be providing you with the presentation, but I wanted to give somebody had their hand up, and I wanted to make sure I didn't ignore that opportunity. So if you had your hand up and you had a question, please throw the question in the chat and we're happy to address it. If you, for some reason, want to come off mute, I can make that an opportunity as well. So I'm going to move on just because I don't want to run out of time like I tend to. Along with these offline activities that Jacqueline has just created, we also have these end of the year lessons and playlists. And again, these are great opportunities for you to engage students to do some self-reflection. Who am I? My identity playlist launches you into discovering your personal genius. Vision boards. These are, yeah, Karen, thank you for letting us know. I'll go ahead and throw that in the, Jacqueline, would you just throw the form? Thank you. This vision board one actually steps away from the computer and gets them cutting and drawing and pasting and putting all sorts of pictures so that they're creating this beautiful vision board for themselves. Daily Dose of Creativity was created by one of our very own teachers who is super creative. This gets them ready for hopefully being creative throughout the summer. And of course, I had to throw in digital literacy because I think that that's important as we send kids off to play video games and have their phones and everything else. They've got to realize, hey, listen, we need to do this responsibly. So any one of these activities can be accents to what you're already doing. But the thing that I want to kind of prompt you guys to think about and just throw it in the chat if you kind of see something is, you know, what do they all have in common? What do the offline and these activities have in common? And maybe what are some other activities that you've engaged students in at the end of the year? Because we're all here, all 30, some of us, 38 of us, share some resources that you use at the end of the year as well to elevate our thought process. So question in the chat. Mariette, that's exactly one of those answers is so important. Yes, reflection. Love it, Anne. Yeah. Very good. Keep answering that though. What do they have in common? And you're going to see that kind of, you guys saw my slides, didn't you? Reflection is definitely one. Student voice, right? We want to become self-aware so that I can recognize, you know, what am I proud for? We talked about that. What do I get inspired by? What did I get challenged by? And then what strength did I use to overcome that challenge? It gives the brain an opportunity to pause. I saw this in a research article I just read the other day, which the power of reflection, it may seem like a simple question on the board and having kids write, you know, is kind of an old school activity. I mean, I know I did it in the late, 2000s, I guess, 2006 when I started teaching, but it gives students the opportunity to really pause and kind of move that chaos and some of the amygdala response that ends up happening, right? What strengths did they use to overcome these challenges? And then what are they really grateful for? To bring them full circle into this, what goal did I work on and what did I achieve, right? So yeah, Nicole, absolutely. They met their academic New Year's resolutions. We did that. So now we do that again, preparing for summer and fall. I love it. So again, we know research supports the power of reflection is essential. Not only is the power of reflection essential, but in Thrively, we give you these opportunities to reflect and write or speak or do video reflections. But we as educators and as people who are supporting our students have to make sure that we're focusing on the feedback piece of it. How do we give? I love what you said about that. Jacqueline, it was amazing that you chose resilience over, you know, over the other strength. And that you found a way to use that strength, right? That reinforces in the student that strength, builds self-confidence, builds enthusiasm, all of these things that we want to see. I mean, I don't know how many educators have called me in the last week and said, oh my God, the behaviors are crazy and the engagement and everything else, right? But imagine if we can infuse, if there was a pill we could take that said, okay, self-confidence and enthusiasm and self-regulation are all going to be fixed. Well, we do. We have to give feedback and we have to give them really constructive feedback. So there's a question. Is there a link to the page that lists all the strengths? Yeah, absolutely. You know what, Laura, great question. If you want to throw the presentation in the chat, then you can open that up on your own. It's in that link that I clicked on and we can go back to it in a second. But I also think this positive self-talk. So when you see students doing reflection, and maybe it's a reflection that needs to be redirected, right? How they're talking to themselves is so important. And we have the ability to be those educators that's teaching humans, right? We're teaching humans how to encourage themselves, because ultimately that's what we want to get them to. They graduate from high school, they graduate from 8th grade, and we know that they are self-regulated and they're addressing the needs that they have. One of the areas that Thrively does a really nice job with is making sure that we have the ability to give you a chance to check in on students. I know back in the day before my computers worked or I had them in my classroom, I'd have this little like red, green, or yellow card. Do you need me? Do you kind of need me? Or no, I'm good. Well, now we have this ability with this well-being check-in to say, let's check in on how you're doing today. Let's just click on this little start button. And then it's a liker, they drag and drop. So I've been active. I've been waking up feeling rested. I've been thinking clearly. Again, how are your students feeling and functioning today? How are they going to be feeling and functioning tomorrow? And addressing that and listening to them. I noticed that somebody said in here, I was listening to my students. And when you listen to others, you're giving them that respect and they're feeling heard, that student voice is coming out. So, and then they can kind of look and see, well, how has my overall well-being been? Well, in the last week, I've sort of stayed right here. May 1st, I was doing really well. May 2nd, I had a little dive, but you can see a 7-day look if you're looking over the week. And they can start to say, well, I had a 5th grader say, I really haven't been eating all that well. I think it's made me grumpy. I mean, if their parent had told them to eat more carrots, they wouldn't, but now they're going to go home and maybe think about their nutrition and how that impacts them. So this is an ability for them to check in with themselves, but also for you to see how are they feeling. So you can do a 60-second check-in with that. You can also do the Hope Index. And this is just a 2-minute survey that you can give to students. That's part of the Thrively Pro. And you can really tap into how they're feeling with hope. I want to say this, and I'll say it twice. Did you know that hope uniquely predicts academic success? Yes or no? Did you know that hope uniquely predicts academic success? Okay. We tend to jump right to academics. I was a math teacher for 7 years. I jumped right into, okay, we're learning proportions. Did we take the time to say, how are you feeling? How are you functioning? When I have a problem, can I come up with lots of ways to solve it? If I don't feel like I can, math's going to be hard. I can think of many ways to get the things in life that are most important to me. If they're not feeling it, we have to address that. I think the things I've done in the past will help me in the future. That's important, right? And this ability to check in and to see the overall hope index, okay? This agency and pathway idea. Do I have the determination and do I have a path? And if I don't have a path, I'm going to kind of shut down and go, I don't know what to do next. Or if I don't have agency, again, I might shut down. And so we don't want that shutdown to happen. That's why behaviors are happening. That's why engagement is low. So if we can know this, now I can teach my subject area, right? So yeah, you guys are seeing the same things I am. It is a wow moment. So we have tapped into lots of resources and lots of playlists that help activate. Once you know the hope of your students, we can give that playlist to them. So with Classroom Pro, all of this comes with it. The biggest thing though, and I think one of the things, if I were to reflect back on my 15 years of teaching, what I would have liked to have done differently and better was to really focus on what's strong with you and sending that home. Sending students home for the summer with this, your top 5 strengths, how amazing you are. We just had a district say to us just recently, you know what, every parent needs to have the strengths roadmap. And so that's available to you with the Pro account. Once students take their strength assessment, it pops up here, focus, analytical, flexibility. And then you click on the strengths roadmap and this beautiful 23-page document. I wouldn't say download it and print it. What I would say is download it and send it via email. Don't kill trees, but imagine if every parent at the end of the year, or even, in the next couple of weeks, got this and could focus on and have conversations around what's strong with their students, with their children. So you leave a legacy. And so you have this ability to make sure that you share with parent. Every student has this ability. And so in this parent engagement piece, you can see Hammy has invited his dad. Lucia has invited her mother, or it could be, a guardian or something. So all they have to do is click on invite parent. And now all of these kids, their family can find activities in the community that taps into what they're aspiring to be or what they're interested in. Camps, things at the library. You can start to even give resources if you know of some. And of course, they can take some autonomy back and say, well, I'm going to work on this. There's some stuff in Thrively that can help me work on, being better at creative arts, or maybe, doing some animation. There's some project-based learning animation that we have. So now you're sending the students off, not with one of those books that has like the transition from fourth to fifth, but real activities that they can do on a rainy day when, they're trying to activate their interests and their strengths. So we have all of these resources at your fingertips, but again, we have a form that's in here that if you fill out, we would love to give you, if you don't have pro access yet, we'd love to give you that pro access. We also know that you are heading into summer, and many of you guys, try to take advantage of professional learning opportunities. So we want to celebrate all of you. It is Teacher Appreciation Week next week. You've worked so hard. Our team has put together a Foundations of Strength Level 1 certification course. If you go to your dashboard, your name would be up here, and you go down here to certifications and click on it. It'll take you, you'll see this Foundations of Strength. Jacqueline, would you go ahead and put in the code for this? It usually costs, but we would like to give this to you all for free. You can use it, share it with your colleagues, please, because I think it's so important that we share the things that we see. And a question, I have a pro account, but can't find the strengths roadmap. Do you have the students, I'm going to answer this live. Do you have students logged in? And I can show you where that is in just a second. Absolutely. Students will have had to take the strengths assessment, and then I will show you how. And it might need to be activated as well. Some districts activated and some did not. If your district didn't, I'm going to put my email address in here, because if you cannot find it, we are here to help you make sure that you can get to that. So any resources that we share today, if you tomorrow are like, wait a minute, where was that? Just email myself. Jacqueline will put hers in there as well. So this, you can download a badge, put it in your email signature link, and you can now be that Strengths Level 1 certified educator. Some districts will give you PD hours for that as well. If you don't have a Thrively account, very easy, thrively.com, join as an educator, that middle button, and then you can link it to your Google account or make your own username and password. So, all right, let's see. Thank you for all you're doing to build the relationships. We know that's one of the most important things that you're proud of, but also what we know is most important to help young people in the community kind of connect back to why education and why we're the the cornerstone of humanity, really. So reach out to learn more. Please email either myself at Jeanette@thrively.com or thrive@thrively.com, which will take you to our support team. And we're happy to get you access to anything from today. But let's make sure we can get you guys into that form. Okay, Erin, I'm going to check out your account. Again, if you could email me and I'll check out your account and make sure that it gets activated, because sometimes it's a way that it was set up on your district account. So we can certainly get that fixed. Let us know again, also too, if anybody wants to put in the chat, we're going to kind of pause on webinars for the year because we're coming to the end. But if there's any topics, anything that you guys want to know more about, or things that maybe you even want to present, we love bringing in other people who can present ways that we're elevating humanity and certainly helping make your lives a little bit easier. So let us know. We're here listening and hoping to connect with all of you. So again, I want to say, the access code for the training. Yeah, let's put that in the chat again, because I think someone's looking for that. It's get certified, and the G and the C are capitalized. So that'll help you get into the strength certification course. Like I said, if you have colleagues, share that code with them as well. We just really want to make a movement. And I think Jacqueline and I can both say that we have seen the impact that when you focus on strengths and you elevate the way that we talk about each other, what's strong with you, not what's wrong with you, building that classroom community around our unique differences, but also our connections. You're going to see behaviors go down. We've seen it happen in some of the toughest circumstances. And certainly we hope to make your lives easier. You guys are doing incredible work out there. So do something kind for yourself over this next week and weekend. And I hope you have a great rest of the year.